Hello BookTube! Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Courtney and I do all manner of bookish things on this channel, from recommendations, deep dives, DIY bookish crafts, reviews, rants, and more. Today I am talking about a particularly obscure book I recently read called Swipe Right for Monsters. The cover was catchy, the synopsis seemed fun, and I really was in the mood for something fun and ridiculous, and so let's dive in. I also have a mic. I just realized I've had this mic for years and I actually for some reason did not think that it would be compatible with my camera, but it actually is compatible with my camera. Hopefully, otherwise I am filming this entire video and then only to go in, edit it, and realize that my mic in fact is not compatible with this camera. I know it's also like really bright red and I hope that's not too distracting. Also, this is the light we're working with right now. I don't usually like filming my video so late in the day because the light is weird. This is what we've got, okay? I'm in front of a window, but we had to put these big old like curtains on our windows because we have been having AC issues, which is one of the reasons I haven't uploaded a video in a while. I'm trying to do it weekly, but this has been an insane week. We just moved here, so wondering if we would have to move again after like not even 2 months. It's just been really stressful, so it's been really hard for me to get into like the mood of a video, like the nice, like carefree mood that I want to put out here on YouTube. So anyways, we're gonna shut the hell up and we're gonna get into this book. The book opens with a bunch of girls getting drunk off tequila. And as soon as I read that, I was like actually sick to my stomach because I think I've been drunk on tequila more than any other hard alcohol. And I think tequila itself is responsible for me quitting drinking. So when I read that, I was like, our main female character, Nicole, is fresh out of a breakup and I believe just graduated college, and her friends are doing their best to sort of hype her up. They get into a conversation about Nicole's ex, who said that she was wife material, but he's not ready for wife material, so she is bitterly back on the market. While they're being a group of loud, intoxicated girls, which we've all been there, a couple walks in, but the man is not human. No, he is a vampire. Supposedly in this universe, monsters have made themselves known, and they've actually been known for quite a while. So seeing monsters walking around freely in society and even dating humans is like a pretty normal thing in this book. So one of her friends basically just leans forward in her drunkenness and asks how the two met, and they kind of point them to a dating app. So all of this eventually leads to the friends making a profile for their friend Nicole on Monster, which is the name of this app. Very creative, I know. In an attempt to get her out of her shell. Nicole doesn't really think much of it, probably because she's very, very drunk, but it turns out that monsters are absolutely ravenous and desperate to date. Because in the morning, she wakes up to a full inbox of messages. Messages like, "Hey gorgeous, you look good enough to eat. Have you ever dated a dryad? I've got some wood you'll love. Sup girl, wanna get drunk? Maybe a gin and tonic." Get it? The cheesy pickup lines coming from these monsters, I think they had me in tears, and I don't know if it was in a good way or a bad way, to be honest. "I'll show you my magic wand any day of the week. If you think I'm a monster, you should see what's in my pants. You look like a girl who likes to howl at the moon. Saturday?" I mean, how can you resist? Her hungover friends pop out from under the bed sheets and they all go a little wild at the sheer amount of monsters that Nicole has to choose from. Eventually, Nicole settles on her first pick, a cougar shifter / contractor named Drake. Maybe this wasn't a terrible idea after all. "Do you think he'd wear a tool belt in bed?" Ashley raised her eyebrows. "What?" Nicole shrugged, but the heat rising in her cheeks gave her away. "I like cats, and I've got a thing for guys who work with their hands." "You little freak," her friend laughed. "I love it. I bet he'd wear a hard hat for you if you fluttered your lashes and showed him some leg. In fact, that should be your opening line." She stared at her. "What should be my..." "Oh my god, don't write that." "And send," Ashley grinned. "You're gonna be drowning in monster dick if it's the last thing I do." He's already answered. "I love cats and men who work with their hands. Meet for coffee tomorrow." But it doesn't stop there because her friends encourage her to pick out a few more monsters and have a group date just to get her out of her stifling comfort zone. So she settles. It had taken an hour, but they'd eventually settled on the cougar contractor, a fey gardener with kind eyes, a pair of vampire lawyers, Because according to Ashley, every woman should have a threesome at least once in her lives. And the werewolf mechanic. Between the 5 of them, hopefully at least one would fall madly in love with her and fix her life, or at least pay for the occasional dinner. See, the entire point of her actually going on these dates is to hopefully find somebody who actually can fix her life. She's very broke, she has no job, and she lives in a house that she inherited from her grandmother that needs a lot of work that she can't afford. With even more encouragement from her friends, Nicole is off to meet 5 monster dates. She arrives at some Italian restaurant, I believe. She's very nervous. She fumbles over her words, naturally. She notices immediately that there is a palpable tension between her 5 dates. You have a werewolf and a cougar shifter who literally act like a cat and a dog, bickering. You have sort of this kind, gentle, well-groomed, soft-spoken elf or fae who is apparently allergic to dogs, aka the werewolf. And 2 vampires who immediately start giving her very hungry looks. Her eyes lingered on fabric that no doubt cost more than her car. The blonde vampire leaned forward, propping his chin on his elbow as he winked. I don't really know how you prop your chin on your elbow, but they're vampires, so maybe they're different. All these monsters immediately don't seem to get along, and it completely ruins the vibe for Nicole, and she ends up taking her food in a takeout box and storming out. However, she also has a junker of a car and it refuses to start, so her night is not going very well. The vampires are the first to walk out of the restaurant, pouting about how they lost such a delectable date, but they see a second chance when they find her standing at her car with the hood open. They sort of prowl over there to take a look, but apparently after 200 years of life, they still don't have any idea about how a car works. But they're willing to pretend. He turned to stare down into the engine. His thoughtful expression never wavered, but Jasper had been his best friend for 2 centuries. Atticus may as well have been staring at an alien artifact for all he understood. The old git could pretend all he wanted, but he had no idea what he was doing. Yes, the gasoline is, stable? Rolling his eyes, Jasper elbowed him gently. He pulled out the oil dipstick and gave it a quick glance. Plenty of oil, he muttered as he poked at the few things that looked familiar. Battery is connected. This hurt because I know near to nothing about cars, and I know more than they do. And that, after 200 years, I feel like no more. Shortly after, the cougar and the fae appear, almost laughing at the idea of the vampires helping with the car. And at this point, I was like, really? All of the monsters, except for the one that is the actual mechanic, have walked out of this restaurant and noticed that she's having car problems. But I digress. A werewolf is just late to the party. So apparently, it's very well known that vampires are bad at this sort of thing. All 4 men proceed to fiddle with the car, and then Wes, the werewolf mechanic, appears. Thank you. Please tell me none of you touched this thing, the werewolf sighed and pushed past them. For future reference, babe, vampires and fae are useless with machines. I am not. How dare you? Rude. The monsters bet on if the wolf can even fix the car, and he calls them out, revealing that he is actually a mechanic and knows exactly what he's doing. Wes takes a look around, tells her what's wrong, and says he has to tow the car to his garage to fix it, and Nicole at this point is almost in tears. Because she's feeling all of life's problems starting to really stack up, and I felt that on a personal level. So since she doesn't have a car, the vampires drive her home to her very rundown house that she inherited from her grandmother. But on the way, she is holding the business card that Wes gave her in order to get in contact with him because he has her car. She somehow cuts herself on this business card, which made me cringe because a business card is not regular paper. It's like manila, almost like manila paper. And I've had many manila cuts because I went to school for fashion and they had you carrying around manila clothing patterns all everywhere, and I cannot even count how many times I cut myself on those manila patterns. That is completely off topic. Anyway, she cuts herself on a business card with 2 vampires in the car. Twilight, anyone? Why are these girls always getting paper cuts when vampires around? It's not really a normal thing for us to do, but damn, when it really counts, we really like to cut ourselves on tiny, benign things. This, as you may have guessed, drives the vampires crazy. And by crazy, I mean they get extremely horny. They drop her off, and as she's walking away, they do the "can we keep her" thing, which reminds me, for some very, very weird reason, of the twins from The Matrix. Don't ask me why, it just did. Like, the way they finish each other's sentences and the way they talk to each other just reminded me of how these twins, like, interact with each other. And if I can find a clip of it, I will put it in here, but if I can't, just take my word for it.
We are getting aggravated.
Yes, we are.
Or don't, because I don't think they resemble the twins at all. It's just some weird thing that my brain made up. I don't know. The next day, Atticus, one of our vampire lawyers, sends her a message saying he wants to see her again, or rather a love letter. "Good morning, sweet Nicole. Jasper and I enjoyed our evening with you last night, with the exception of the actual dinner, of course. It was truly a pleasure to meet such a lovely creature. We were hoping that you might be inclined to a more intimate dinner with just the two of us. We'll be retiring shortly for the daylight hours, but please do let us know if you so desire. Tomorrow night, I'll be dreaming of you." That is probably nowhere near what this author thought that Atticus would sound like, but it's what he sounds like in my head. Directly after that, some grumpy old man waltzes up saying he's there to give her a quote about her house, which is in desperate need of repair. And meanwhile, she's being flooded by bad pickup lines from the Monster app. She's kind of getting overwhelmed naturally when Wes texts her saying that her car is ready. She goes to the garage. She finds Wes all sexy and covered in grease and all sweaty, being all manly, of course. And while he's telling her about her car, she just can't stop staring because obviously. Honestly, Wes is exactly the way I like my men. So in these situations, I tend to pick a favorite, and that's why I have a very hard time reading reverse harem books or books, any sort of book with multiple partners. I have a very hard time with it because I always fixate on one person and I get like jealous for the main characters, and it never works out really well for me. He walks her to her car, and some dude, or rather a monster, rolls out from beneath a Volkswagen, and they recognize each other from the Monster app because she apparently matched to every monster in town. Anyways, Wes gives her a big discount on her car as a beautiful woman who had to suffer through a terrible dinner discount, and Nicole internally complains. Ugh, pity parts. Lovely. What are pity parts? That's actually what was mentioned in the book. That's what it said. That's how it was written. Pity parts. I guess there are parts of pity everywhere. They're in pieces. It's pieces of pity. God damn it. Nicole then goes home. When she arrives at her house, she finds the cougar shifter, Drake, the contractor, who apparently is going to fix everything about her house. They have a little heart-to-heart about how her grandmother must have loved her so much because he gave her this house that has really good bones, and she shouldn't be so bitter about her grandmother giving it to her, in which, like, I also kind of thought that, because like if I inherited a house from my grandparents that needed a little bit of fixing, I feel like that would be awesome. It's a house, especially in the market today. Like, if I got a free house that needed some fixing, like, sign me up. Anyways, I digress again. Nicole is going through it, and I feel like we've all been there. And as you might have guessed, he also gives her a massive discount on repairs. Nicole agrees, thinking that all her problems are starting to get resolved, and leaves to go hang out with the two friends that got her into the situation in the first place. While they're hanging out, Nicole tells her friends everything. One of them complains, saying she would love to have her life and have a bunch of monsters pining after her, and I'm like, make a profile on Monster. These monsters are single and super ready to mingle. Speaking of, mid-conversation, some tentacle monster from the app shows up, and he's like, oh hey, the app glitched and it unmatched us. That's so weird, right? But super convenient that you're here because now we can meet. How small is this town? That's when our fae boy Hawthorne realizes what's going on, and he swoops in to pose as her boyfriend. Turns out he has a plant stall at this little farmer's market where the friends are hanging out, and the friends, who are apparently obsessed with plants, immediately ransack it. Also, because he's a magical elf gardener, all his plants are like super plants. And of course, he gives Nicole a bunch of free plants because, discounts. Skip ahead a little bit. Cougar Boy is working on the house and Nicole has to rush out for a job interview. She leaves and he is just consumed by this need to mark her house. Which, if you've ever seen or smelled cat markings, this just planted such a weird image in my head. Like, there is no way you are marking this woman's house and keeping it a secret. It's not like a dog peeing on a post. Cat marking is a lot more pungent, and also it's called spraying, I believe, where it literally comes out in like this spray of like really strong smelling cat pee, and I'm just thinking of like this cougar, like an oversized cat, just like spraying his essence like all over her porch, and I'm just like, dude, don't. Resist the urges to spray this woman's house, for God's sake. So while she's gone, Drake skulks around and he finds her electrical panel is ruined. And although it's well known that she has like a population of squirrels in the house, he suspects foul play. Soon after, this big motorcycle comes rolling up the driveway, driven by none other than Wes, our resident werewolf, and clinging to his back like a koala is Nicole. Drake rushes over and is like, "What happened? You had a job interview." To which Nicole says her car broke down on the way and Wes picked her up. The two get into a spat because, again, dog, cat, they have to fight. It's just in their blood. And Drake is like, "I thought you fixed your car." And Wes is like, "I did, but when I looked at her car, the fuel line was totally intact and today it's not." They bicker a little bit more and Drake says he suspects someone is messing with Nicole and that perhaps the broken fuel line in her car is part of it. The two sort of enter into a truce to get to the bottom of this mystery, and Drake strips down and transforms into an enormous fluffy cougar. I've never seen a fluffy cougar in my life, so this was weird imagery to me, but maybe we have different definitions of fluffy. Like, when I think of fluffy, I think of this, but whatever. While this is happening, Hawthorne drives up to drop off plants, and the way he rolls up and says hello just reminded me so much of like that Swedish guy from Instagram.
Welcome to coffee shop.
Yes, Hawthorne is him. He is Hawthorne. Anyways, he leaves. The shifters team up to sniff around the yard and the house. Ultimately, they decide they're staying over to keep an eye on Nicole. She really doesn't want them to, but they give her no choice and immediately start rearranging furniture so that they can sleep. But if you will remember, Nicole has a date with two sexy vampires. So Nicole heads upstairs to get ready. She kind of chooses between like a nicer dress or like a more modest dress and a super sexy number. She decides that she needs to take control back because she is way too horny for the two shifters that are currently in her house. And I guess the best way to do that is to slip into the sexy number, dig her lady bullet out of a drawer, and arrive twice alone in her room. I don't really know how that's taking control back because I'm pretty sure she's fantasizing about these two guys while she's doing it. Of course, when she goes downstairs to meet her dates, every single monster can literally smell what's cooking, if you know what I mean. At dinner, the vampires are just obsessed, particularly with the sounds she makes when she eats her soup. Ignoring the warning, his old friend dragged his tongue over her knuckles and watched her face with fiery eyes. "You have no ideas what those little sounds are doing to my cock, pet." In the car or the limousine on the way back, the vampires make it known how much they hunger for her. "We can smell you, Nicole. Every passionate thought, every time you squeeze your thighs together, every time you look at us like you're undressing us with your eyes, we can smell the desire pouring off of you." Literally, never. I should never do voices on this channel ever. But you all know I will still do it. And they double team her with their nimble 200-year-old fingers in the car and they rock her world. The next morning, Hawthorne shows up with breakfast. Nicole answers the door in a like sexy, messy bun that I will never be able to achieve, and finds not two, but 4 monsters taking up residence in Nicole's rundown house. Yes, all 4 have decided they need to keep an eye on her. Drake slinks out in his cougar form and she kind of like pets him on the head like a house cat. Hawthorne kind of pouts like, "All of them are staying at your house except for me?" And Nicole caves. Well, fuck. Nicole pinched the bridge of her nose. "Do you want to move yourself in? Everyone else seems to be making themselves comfortable." "I thought you'd never ask," he said quickly, pushing the box of pastries into her hands. Hawthorne started back to his truck. "I was joking," she called behind him. He ignored her. Monsters didn't do takebacks. She was as stuck with him now as she was the shifters and vampires. Whether Nicole liked it or not, she had just stumbled her way into 5 monster roommates, all of whom were already obsessed with her. Long story short, she is now living with all 5 monsters, and they all kind of play their weird role. She does end up getting the job she was going to the interview for, and so everyone celebrates, and all her not boyfriends are very proud of her. Drake is the contractor, so he's constantly making repairs to the house. The vampires actually become kind of elusive considering they can only come out during the night, and so they just sort of hide in her attic. But one of them, I believe Jasper, does make a point to either schedule a message every day at Nicole's lunchtime, or he wakes up to message her and wish her well or ask her how her day is going, and it's actually like really, really cute. Wes the werewolf makes her cute little sack lunches every day, which is also super, super cute. And Hawthorne is like the sensitive gardener who's allergic to things and in tune with his feminine side. But don't let that fool you, because surprisingly, he is the next one to make a move. So they're at breakfast. Nicole, Drake the cougar, and the elf are like kind of sitting at the table, right? And they're both looking at her all hungry like. And Drake's munching on an apple or like an orange or something, and Hawthorne notices she's very tense, very stressed. So he decides to do something about it. Shoving her plate out of reach, Hawthorne grabbed Nicole's hips and lifted her out of her chair. Her ass thumped down on the table. Drake raised his eyebrows as the quiet elf pushed her skirt up her thighs. "What are you?" Nicole gasped. "Helping you relax." Drake is literally sitting like right there eating whatever he's eating, kind of like smirking while he watches Nicole arrive. Never in my damn life have I been into harems or reverse harems or voyeurism, but that was low-key kind of hot. Needless to say, Nicole is less stressed. She goes to work at lunch, opens her little lunch bag, and finds a cute little note from Wes. "Have a great day, babe. I can't wait to hear all about it tonight. Wes, XOXOXOXO. Gossip Girl." I'm just kidding. "Which ones are the kisses again?" And she messages him back, "Thank you for lunch. I hope you're ready to hear about a lot of people whose names I will never remember." And the X's are kisses, silly wolf. XXXXX. So this all becomes kind of routine. She's got 5 incredibly sexy men just spoiling her to death and thinking she is the best, most beautiful, most precious thing in the world. Somehow she still finds a way to complain about them, and I'm just going to skip over all of that because it kind of made me angry. I mean, these men are literally fixing all of her problems, practically for free, by the way. They're fixing her house, they're fixing her lawn, they're fixing her car, they're making her lunch, and also giving you hot monster sex, and you're getting upsetty about them not washing the dishes. Speaking of life problems, whoever messed with the electrical panel, remember that, has struck again. When Nicole is about to leave for work one day, they all find that every tire on every car and even Wes's motorcycle has been slashed. They devise a plan to get the whole situation fixed because that's what they do. They are fixer boys. They fix things. So after work, Nicole has a dinner date with her friends, her very naughty friends, and they start to feel a little bit bad that her initial plan was to use these guys to fix her life. But she's starting to develop feelings for them instead, which was, you know, not part of it. When she returns home, Werewolf Boy, aka Wes, is suddenly all over her. He wants to go on a picnic, just the two of them. He's being kind of handsy. Nicole is totally into it until Drake points out that she is ovulating. "You're ovulating," Drake interrupted her naughty thoughts, her lusty thoughts. And this instantly turns Nicole off. The arousal curling in her belly was doused in a heartbeat. "Excuse me?" Gesturing with his screwdriver, he waved at the werewolf, glaring at him over Nicole's shoulder. "He can smell the change in your hormones and it's making him horny. Please tell me you're joking." "Nope. His nose is telling his pea-sized wolf brain that you're breedable." "Breedable? Breedable?" So the whole room becomes a bunch of bickering children until we hear a crash upstairs where the 2 vampires are fast asleep in the attic. They all rush up there to see that the window has been broken and one of the vampires is now severely sunburned and in a lot of pain. Evidently, the saboteur has made another move. To heal the vampires, they need blood, but it would be better to get it from a living person instead of from a blood bag, so Nicole volunteers as tribute. The vampires warn that drinking from the vein is a very erotic experience, and they basically say, "We will be doing the boom boom if you allow us to drink from you," and she says, "That's fine."
What? No boom boom?
So they do it. It's all very typical vampire sex in that they're drinking from her, she's feeling all euphoric, pain is pleasure, all that jazz. And while this is happening, the other boys are all sort of arguing about who's in last place when it comes to being with Nicole, and they start listing how far they've all gone with her. Which I was laughing my ass off about it, I won't lie. Drake is seemingly in last place at this point, but then the elf points out that he sleeps in her bed, albeit in cat form, every night, and Wes is jealous, because jealousy is Wes's middle name. When Nicole appears after her fun time with the vampire sporting neck bruises, things kind of get tense with the others and a big argument starts, mostly because of Wes being all possessive and wolfy, but someone breaks it up and it's not who I expected. Our Fae boy is just throwing out surprises left and right, because I thought he was kind of like the, forgive my language, I thought he was kind of like the soy boy of the group, but, enough! The Fae snapped. They fell silent, their argument cutting off as they both turned to glare at him. "You have the day off from work, so you're coming with me to run errands." Which, I don't know if anybody else is like this with their significant other, but like I love running errands with my fiance. Like it is my favorite pastime because I don't know why. I don't see him all day when he's at work, and so when we're like just hanging out running errands, just like driving in a car together, like it is the best time of day. I love it. So immediately I was like, "Yes, Hawthorne, I will come with you to run errands. Thank you for asking. Clothes on, your butt in the truck. Let's go." Mouth dropping open in a silent "oh," her eyes widened at his snappy tone. "You're bossy in the morning. If you get moving, I'll buy you coffee." Okay, daddy, jeez. Again, Hawthorne knows the way to a woman's heart, because immediately I was like, "Yes, girl, get in the car, run some errands and get some coffee." So Nicole goes off to run errands with Hawthorne, and they kind of have like a little chat, and it's cute. These two are having a heart-to-heart and some much needed away time, and it very much turns Nicole on that she's being able to talk to Hawthorne this way. And she ends up returning the favor because, you know, he nourished himself on her womanhood over the kitchen table that one time. Meanwhile, Wes is still suffering from his full moon craze and needs some boom boom, and he isn't getting it. He's in the figurative doghouse, and in his time of need, in walks Drake. Remember, these two kind of have this ongoing cat-dog thing since the beginning. They're just like always kind of at each other's throats. But this time is different. They bicker for a bit about how childish Wes is being. "Lots of monsters are in some kind of polyamorous bonded group, so it's not like this is something new or unexpected. If you aren't ready for the reality of what that entails, you need to communicate that. We can't make adjustments to the dynamic if you don't actually voice your needs like an adult. If you'd prefer to be a jealous wank, then that's fine too. This house will function just fine with 5 people as it will with 6. And I don't particularly like multiple partners in groups. I get jealous for them, like I said. I often choose my favorite and want the others out of the picture. I'm very monogamous at heart, so it's a very stressful time for me to read books like this. So when this was explained, I mean, I felt a little bit more at ease, but not entirely, because again, I have my favorites, and if Nicole doesn't choose my freaking favorite, I'm gonna have a problem. The whole point of reverse harem is that they're all her favorite and they all love each other equally, and it's just hard for me to grasp, okay? And then suddenly, they're making out and grinding on each other. There are a lot of firsts for me in this book, and by that I mean tropes that I don't usually read. They're not really things that I seek out, like I said. I have read reverse harem and I have read gay romance, but it's not my preferred flavor. I didn't hate this though. This was pretty hot. Before they get real serious, Nicole walks in. They break it up and she and Wes talk it out, and she asks if that's a Wes thing or if it's a shifter thing, and he explains that most shifters can also swing both ways. Something about the fact that they shift makes their identity kind of muddled, so I don't know, something like that. But Wes assures Nicole that she is still the center of his world. "Let me put it this way. You make my wolf howl. He makes my wolf growl. Playfully, but still. I don't howl for him, and he doesn't for me. His mouth slanted over hers, his teeth teasing her lip. "You're the only one who makes my wolf howl, Nicole, and the only one who ever will." So later on, Nicole is feeling all sorts of restless, and she wanders downstairs to find Wes asleep on the sofa with infomercials playing on the TV. She wakes him up to tell him to go to bed, and the two finally find themselves in a situation together. And at some point, I don't know when, he's like a ninja, Drake shows up. I can't remember if he just walks in while Wes is about to go to Pound Town, or if he was there and nobody knew. I honestly can't remember. Wes is doing Nicole over the arm of the sofa while Drake, our resident voyeur, watches. Again, this is a kink I never really cared for, but damn. They arrive, and Drake finally decides he's going to get more hands-on. He lifts her off the couch, so she's got her like legs wrapped around him, right? And Wes, who's still in full moon mode, comes up behind her, so she's like in a sandwich like situation. You know where this is going. And if you don't, then Nicole gets double stuffed by two shifters. And I guess I kind of skipped the parts where the random mystery person is still causing all kinds of problems and breaking shit around the house and popping tires. Yeah, so that doesn't stop, that continues. And the boys are still trying to get to the bottom of it, and they do after a note is left basically calling Nicole a gold digger. This sparks a conversation where they all find out that her initial intention was to date them so she could use them to fix her situation. And despite her having developed feelings for them, they are rightfully upset and they all move out. Nicole is devastated. She's alone, she's single, her life is falling apart again, and one day she wakes up to her house being on fire. She calls 911, almost dies running outside, and the fire department arrives, and since it seems 99% of this town is monsters, the EMT that treats her bears a striking resemblance to Wes, our werewolf. Oh, Wes? Cole. The EMT smiled, a familiar, brilliant smile. Wes is my little brother. Little was clearly subjective. The werewolf in front of her was just as tall as her Wes. Every bit the muscled physique, the same golden eyes gleamed back at her. Her heart sank. Oh, great. There are two hot werewolves to look disappointed in me. Ushering her back toward the ambulance, he raised his eyebrows and eyed her bare legs up and down. I don't know about disappointed, but all I heard was that you think I'm hot. Obviously, Wes gets word from his brother that Nicole is in the hospital, and he's the first to rush over, and I think he brings her food, I can't remember. And Nicole's a mess. She's bawling and she keeps saying she's sorry. She's covered in soot and in like this giant hospital gown, looking like super pathetic. According to her, my house was on fire and I smell like camping. I just burst out laughing when she said that because yes, you do smell like camping, I'm sure. Wes jokes around that he actually likes camping, and she says, I only like it if there are s'mores, and he says he will go and he will get s'mores, and this is why Wes is my favorite. Eventually the others show up, and the woman at the desk is very confused because all these men are saying that they're her boyfriends. I thought the other guy was her boyfriend. We all are. Drake's growling voice cut in. We all are. Nicole looked back and forth between Wes's face and the door. How? Cole called me, and I texted the group chat. You guys have a group chat? Yes. And Hawthorne kept sending them all funny cat videos. Wes and Jasper had a bet going to see how long he could keep it up before Drake threatened to twist his head off of his shoulders by his silvery man bun. The door flew open and the rest of the monsters piled in. Wes wasn't quite sure who looked more shocked, the pitiful human being swallowed up by an oversized hospital gown or her pack of fanged boyfriends. Nicole took one look at them and burst into tears, so much for stopping her from crying. What's wrong? Jasper looked at the shell-shocked nurse lingering in the doorway. Is she hurt? No, Wes shook his head. She's okay, just crying. Again. Atticus looked deeply alarmed. For once, the cool, bossy vampire was anything but calm and collected. Fix it, he demanded. I'm so sorry, Nicole sobbed. So sorry. Wes petted her hair awkwardly. Every stuttered apology slipping between her sobs was like a blade in his heart. He gritted his teeth and clenched his fist to contain his claws. I just felt the need to read that whole page because it was hilarious. Like, none of these monsters know how to do anything. Like They definitely don't know how to function in like real situations. It's so odd. And especially the vampires. The vampires who are centuries old seem to be the ones that have the least life experience. They all kiss and make up. It's discovered that the one behind the attacks is Nicole's cousin Tyler, who I guess didn't like that she inherited this house or something. And so they take that to court, and the boys are back and planning to fix the house, and everyone lives happily ever after. According to the author, she did write an extra chapter that beta readers deemed too dark for the story, where I guess the 5 monsters go and get revenge on the cousin, and it's very murderous, I guess. And that's it. That is Swipe Right for Monsters by R. O'Reilly. I actually had fun. I feel like the story didn't take itself seriously, which if you're going to write something so outrageous, like you can't really take yourself very seriously, in my opinion. You have to add humor and cringy situations, and she did that. She did a lot of that. I don't think it turned me on to multiple partners or anything. That's still not my preferred trope. While I have read multiple books focused on that theme, like I said, it's not something I seek out. I am far too jealous for that sort of thing, but I did have a good time. To each their own. I don't regret reading this by any means. Like I said, it was super fun. I loved the characters, and I might read book 2, which is Download for Demons. Anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did like this video, hit that like button. Comment below if you've read this book or if you'd be interested in reading this book, or, you know, just say hi. It helps the algorithm, I think. Honestly, I don't know. If you're not following me, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 5,000 subscribers, and I would really love it if you guys could help me out, because despite me trying to do everything by myself, I can't do that without you guys. Anyways, I appreciate you all being here. I hope you had a good time, and I love you all. Until next time, happy reading. Bye!